It's Tuesday, July 15th. In the headlines, the Island Traffic Authority says more than 200 people have been killed in traffic crashes since the start of the year. In business news, Jamaica's net international reserves is now close to $6 billion. Regionally, in Antigua and Barbuda, air traffic controllers are on alert this hurricane season. And in sports, Windies beaten by the Aussies in a test series. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. More than 1,000 farmers in St. Elizabeth are set to benefit from a land title initiative as part of the design component of the Pedro Plains Irrigation Expansion Project. Speaking at the official launch on the weekend, Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining Minister Floyd Green said the titles were being distributed to facilitate the laying of pipes.
And the design is to run pipes from the Black River, through parcels of land, into reservoirs, and to use that to feed the farmers. We said, how are we going to run the pipes? How are we legally going to run the pipes? Because when you check the land, most of the land that the pipe would run through is untitled, unregistered. People don't have any documents for the land. And we said, you know what? As a part of this Pedro Plains irrigation scheme, we are going to ensure that every piece of land that the pipeline goes through, the people will get registered titled for free of cost.
He announced that 100 farmers would receive their documents on site. The $26 billion project will bring 4,000 hectares of fertile land in South St. Elizabeth under irrigation and will benefit up to 6,000 farmers and households. Minister Green says construction will begin this year, with the intake and initial pipelines to the first reservoir expected to approximately take 2 years. More than 200 people have been killed in traffic crashes on the nation's roads since the start of the year. According to the latest statistics released by the Island Traffic Authority, as of Monday, July 14, 203 people have died in 178 fatal crashes. The authority said that as at Q2, fatalities are projected to increase by 4% when compared to 2024. To date, motorcyclists account for 27% or 54 fatalities as of July 14. Can electric vehicles really work for Jamaica's roads, lifestyle, and budget? In part 1 of this feature, we take a deep dive into the growing EV movement across the island. From charging station access to maintenance savings and eco-benefits, we break down the realities of owning an electric car in Jamaica.
Across the globe, electric vehicles are transforming how people move. And here in Jamaica, that shift is gaining traction, quietly, cleanly, and confidently. Electric vehicles are more than a trend. They're a response to rising fuel costs, climate change, and the push for energy independence. With government policy and private innovation aligning, the future is now.
That's why the government has taken decisive action. Our electric vehicle policy provides duty and GCT concession on EV and hybrid vehicles, and that is expanding our charging infrastructure island-wide. We are positioning electric mobility as a key part of the solution to Jamaica's energy and climate challenges. The Jamaica Urban Transit Company, which falls under this ministry, introduced the country's electric buses last year, a milestone in public transport. These buses are cleaner, quieter, and more efficient and cost-effective, and we plan to scale that success island-wide.
From duty reductions to infrastructure rollouts, the government is paving the way for cleaner, greener roads.
So, electric vehicles are suitable for any kind of roads, really. Of course, Jamaica's roads are challenging for any kind of vehicle, mostly because of the uneven road surfaces and potholes. So, any kind of vehicle is going to go through more suspension parts, unfortunately, in Jamaica. But apart from that, electric vehicles are very well suited for a country like Jamaica because Jamaica has limited range requirements. So basically, a modern electric car can go the full length of Jamaica on a single charge. So in terms of range anxiety, which is often cited as a deterrent, we shouldn't have much range anxiety in Jamaica at all. With the arrival of more affordable electric vehicle brands like MG and BYD, you're starting to see a lot more full electric vehicles on the road. And I think that's making the public much more friendly or primed for that switch in going from a combustion engine to an electric motor. So I think every additional EV that you see on the road kind of warms up the Jamaican population to EVs and makes people more comfortable with the idea of going electric.
In our Living Healthy report this week, we head to Australia, where we'll learn how 10 brain injury survivors and their caregivers use ballet-based movements for the first time to experience the well-being benefits dance can bring.
This idea to start a dance program for people with acquired or traumatic brain injury to help with rehabilitation and also to enable people a place of social contact with others who are going through a similar journey. Having gone through that journey myself firsthand with my son, I know the lack of resources, lack of information sharing and lack of programs that exist for people with brain injury, not only to help them physically but emotionally and socially as well.
At Queensland Ballet, we're committed to enabling life-enriching arts programs for everyone, including people living with a disability.
I think people think that something like ballet is just fun, and in fact we know that dance has a really important impact on the brain. It helps the brain to recover, it helps the brain to regrow and reorganise itself after a brain injury. Help them to have better capacity to remember things, capacity to coordinate their movements. These things are really important. Little improvements are really important after a brain injury.
Me being like in the army and a football player, and like it's really odd. I was just talking to a bloke on my way here about going to ballet, and he was laughing his head off. So I think that's a good thing. Like not just part of it is the dance, but the other biggest part is interacting with others who are dealing with the same stuff. Doing a ceremony for the graduation, and I joked and said I'll get a certificate. I literally joked, but we got a certificate. Like I'm going to treasure that.
and I'd noticed that my coordination after my accident was pretty much non-existent. My life has changed so much from ballet in all areas, not just I can do some ballet movements, but my balance and coordination have just improved tremendously.
Participants dressed up in their tutus and loving every aspect really of what the program has brought to their lives and their rehabilitation journey. I am very grateful and thankful to Queensland Ballet for their ongoing support and for facilitating this program.
Time now for the Business Report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's Business Report. I'm Denise Williams, here to bring you the stories shaping the financial world and guiding your journey to smarter business decisions. Let's dive into the top headlines. Jamaica's net international reserves, NIR, is close to US $6 billion, growing by US $36.02 million to stand at US $5.83 billion as at June 30. This is above the US $5.79 billion reported at the end of May 2025. At its present level, the NIR supports approximately 48.57 weeks of goods imports and 30.46 weeks of goods and services imports. The country's foreign exchange reserves are US $650.52 million, or 13% more than the US $5.8 billion held by the Bank of Jamaica at the end of June 2024. Jamaica's foreign assets totaled US $5.86 billion, which is US $23.58 million more than the US $5.8 billion reported in May 2025. The Jamaica Stock Exchange says its decision in 2016 to reject the International Monetary Fund recommendation to scrap the junior market has proven to be the right call. Newly released data from the Jamaica Stock Exchange shows that 41 of the 56 companies listed on the junior market have paid out a total of $24 billion in dividends since the market's inception in October 2009, including $2.4 billion paid out just last year. Despite the junior market index being down nearly 12% since the start of this year, the total market capitalization of the listed company stands at approximately $130 billion, or around 4% of Jamaica's gross domestic product. For the trading period ending July 14, 2025, these were the most actively traded stocks. Logistics firm Cargo Handlers Limited with 112,985,134 units traded, representing 85.41% of market sales volume. Gas station and automotive fuels distributor Regency Petroleum Company Limited with 3,260,912 units traded, representing 2.47% of market sales volume. Toll road operator Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited with 2,799,616 units traded, representing 2.12% of market sales volume. We now shift our focus to the Forex market rate set by the Bank of Jamaica. On July 14, 2025, the Bank of Jamaica reported US $47.76 million purchased and US $50.25 million sold by Forex traders. Forex traders earned $2.05 per dollar, selling the US at $161.09 and buying the US at $159.04. The Canadian dollar netted Forex traders 80 cents per transaction, with selling at $118.27 and buying at $117.47. The British pound yielded forex traders $6.45 in profit, with selling at $219.14 and buying at $212.69. For our credit report tip of the day, if you're a solopreneur looking to scale, your first move isn't always hiring, it's checking your credit. Before you build a team or outsource key tasks, assess your financial foundation. Pull your credit report. Dispute any errors. Pay down high interest debt. Separate personal and business expenses. These are not just good habits, they're strategic steps to position your credit score as a business growth tool. A strong credit profile opens doors to capital, funding, and partnerships that can help you scale without draining your cash. Whether you want to launch a marketing campaign, purchase inventory, or hire your first contractor, your credit score can help you assess the capital to make it happen on your terms, not the bank's. And that wraps up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, reminding you that every financial decision is a step toward your future. Until next time, stay focused, stay informed, and keep striving for success. See you soon.
In regional news, in Antigua and Barbuda, air traffic controllers say they remain ready for any eventuality this hurricane season. Acting head of air traffic control services at V.C. Bird International Airport, Eugene Silcott, outlines the standard operating procedures to ensure safety in aviation during the season. Myrtle Bruno Hodge reports.
Traveling via airplane can be a stressful undertaking. Traveling during the hurricane season, that's an entirely different story because it requires timing and more planning. In today's feature, we focus on a sector which plays an extremely critical role in the management of air traffic. That sector is air traffic control, ensuring the safe and efficient movement of aircrafts both in the air and on the ground. Acting Chief of the Air Traffic Services, Eugene Silcott, gives us a better understanding of the critical role this sector plays in airspace safety in Antigua and Barbuda and some of its neighboring islands.
The Air Traffic Services basically is the whole department itself, include Aeronautical Information Service, the training center, and the control tower. So we call the whole department Air Traffic Services. The persons who work in the tower are air traffic controllers. Our airspace extends west over St. Kitts to about 70 miles.
That service also extends to Montserrat. Now, in the event of a hurricane or storm, Silcott explains the preparation process.
The airport management, Director of Security, Director of Met, the Chief Air Traffic Services, Director of Operations, and the airport operations itself. So we work together, we have a meeting, we call in the Director of Met, and he would explain and let us know basically what the timeline is for the hurricane, what time he's going to be in our area, what time he's going to leave, and we use that information in order to plan to see when we're going to close the airport and when we're going to open it.
Next, the notice is sent out to other airports and airline operators, informing them of the airport's closure. Technicians from the ECA would be responsible for securing the air traffic services equipment, including radars, from any damage from the weather system. Following the closure of the airport, the airspace is then handed over to Trinidad, which communicates with any aircraft in Antigua's airspace. In a nutshell, Silcott describes his department as the nucleus of the airport.
If we are not operating, the airline can come to Antigua. So that is our function. Everything else follows.
So for people including myself who simply want to get to our destination, we now know it's not that simple. A lot takes place behind the scenes to ensure our safety in the air. Now, if you must travel during the hurricane season, which runs from June 1 to November 30, before booking that trip, it's essential to research the destination's hurricane risk. In the event of a hurricane, it's crucial to stay informed and follow the instructions of local authorities. Monitor weather reports, review travel advisories, purchase travel insurance, and pack a thorough carry-on bag with essential items, including travel documents, medication, water, non-perishable food, and local currency. With your hurricane preparedness and a safety tip with our Stay Alert feature, I am Myrtle Bruno-Hodge, ABS News.
Efforts to deepen trade and diplomatic ties between Africa and the Caribbean are gaining traction this time, with St. Kitts and Nevis looking to strengthen its relationship with Nigeria. More from SKN Newsline.
Making closer connections between Africa and the Caribbean intensified over the past few months, with the government of St. Kitts and Nevis forging embryonic links with Africa's most populated country, Nigeria. In recent times, the government indicated its interest in making the Federation a hub of trade between Nigeria and the Eastern Caribbean. This push towards stronger ties with Nigeria is a matter that all political parties in the Federation must be committed to if linkages are to work in the medium to long terms. During a recent press conference of the People's Labour Party, SKN Newsline queried Dr. Harris on the development of trade ties with Nigeria.
There's a lot of work still to be done and to be coordinated. In terms of St. Kitts really in terms of merchandise trade is very small, very insignificant. Very, very insignificant. Our biggest merchandise export had been the electronics manufacturing. Years back we had somewhat of a vibrant manufacturing sector with Harrow, with all those others, Cajola, Lutron, etc., and all of those. They have basically, over time, been faced with the reality that they were no longer competitive in some respect and had to close, relocated some to other arenas. So that will continue to be, how do we find the competitiveness to make it worthwhile? The government needs to do a proper study of this. We had, for example, in the past, had a large contingent of persons from Nigeria coming to study, for example, at Windsor University. You may call that a trade in services over time because of hardships there and here too that had basically been reduced significantly. I suspect there are going to have to be a lot of collaboration if these things are going to be sustainable, and it is something that from the level of CARICOM they are now putting some thought into, and we ourselves must try to find our own niche in relation to that.
It is unclear at this time what specific approaches the government will undertake in the short and medium terms to facilitate the proposed trade linkages. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
In Guyana, Chief Elections Officer Vishnu Prasad says results for the September 1, 2025 general and regional elections could be declared by the night of the day after, barring no recounts. Speaking to the media on Monday, just after 7 parties submitted candidate lists, Prasad said GCOM staff are trained and ready with international observers already in Guyana. Security measures are in place to ensure transparent tabulation, and SOPs will be posted online.
The security features, well, they're not security features, they're security measures that have been introduced to ensure that the tabulation of votes are done in a very transparent manner. And that's now a legal requirement.
Are you satisfied that the GCOM staff have been thoroughly trained and educated on the new laws in particular ahead of these elections?
Very much so.
How many international and local observers you have?
Can't say that yet. We have not been contacted by all of them as yet.
You're still receiving requests?
Yes. No, okay. We don't receive requests from international observers. International observers are invited by the government through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It's only when they come to that, then we will know. At this time, we believe that Commonwealth, CARICOM, OAS, Carter Center is already here. EU, these are people that we have received indication that will be here to observe the elections.
Mr. Prasad, my last question. All the lists are going to be posted in their entirety outside your office?
Already being done.
Already being done. Thank you so much.
How soon do you envisage the election result becoming available after polling day?
So that would be determined upon how you view it, because now the law requires that as soon as a statement of poll is being processed, simultaneously it goes up on the website. So the results of the elections could be known even before we are ready to declare it, because you can be sitting in your sitting room and be doing your own tabulation. But insofar as a declaration is concerned, at the level of GCOM, at the district level, we're earmarked to have declarations done by the night of the day after elections.
And a formal declaration can become available when?
The public declaration would depend, of course. You see, this is not a straightforward question that I can answer. We don't know if there will be a request for a recount. And if there is, then naturally it holds back a national declaration. If there is not, I think by the end of the second day after the elections, we should have a national declaration.
In sports, we go to cricket. West Indies experienced a 176-run defeat in pursuit of 204 runs against Australia on the third day of the third and final test match at Sabina Park on Monday. Mitchell Starc led the charge for the Australians, claiming 6 wickets, including his milestone 400th test wicket. Post-match, West Indies captain Rawson Chase said, quote, "We're putting ourselves in positions to win games and we're just laying down and not putting up a fight in the last batting innings," end quote. Giving his feedback on the match, President of Cricket West Indies, Dr. Kishore Shallow, says in a statement, quote, "Like every West Indian cricket fan, I felt the pain of our recent test defeat to Australia," end quote. He further, quote, "There will be some sleepless nights ahead for many of us, including the players, who I know feel this loss just as heavily. But while disappointment is natural, we must not allow this moment to define our journey," end quote. He notes, however, that the team is in a rebuilding phase, steadily investing in the next generation and reigniting the spirit that has long made West Indies cricket a force in the world. In athletics, with just under 2 months to go before the Tokyo World Championships, Jamaican athletes are facing a tough road to medal contention. With most of the Diamond League season behind us, only a few have cracked the top global rankings. So far, only 4 Jamaican athletes are ranked in the top 3 of their individual events. Among them are triple jumper Shanika Ricketts and sprinter Tina Clayton, both sitting just behind world leaders in their disciplines. In the men's 100 meters, Kishane Thompson leads the world with a personal best 9.75, followed by Oblique Seville with 9.83. Sharika Jackson and Antonia Watson are guaranteed spots in Tokyo thanks to their 2023 World Championship wins, but others still need to qualify, many without meeting the entry standards. With the final qualifying deadline just weeks away, the upcoming NACAC Championships and limited European meets will be crucial for these athletes still chasing marks. Only 2 Jamaican relay teams have secured spots so far, raising concerns that, like last year, Jamaica could miss out in key events if qualification efforts fall short. It's a race against time for Jamaica's athletes. The question now, who will rise and secure their place in Tokyo? And that's the news on PBCJ. Remember, we are the People's Station.